Hi, I'm Grace Lynch. Welcome to my channel. I've done the videos that I'm starting to have gel a sense of how I want the channel to go, and one of the suggestions is to make an introductory video. So something that give people sort of sense of who I am and what the channel's about. I try to be in a nutshell. I'm a 59-year-old service-connected Air Force veteran. I served before Don't Ask, Don't Tell was created. Bad things happened that I had to process with my form of autism, which I also did not learn about until I was 52 years old. I experience synesthesia. My autism has given me um, more efficient ways of processing mathematics, music, and certain kinds of writing than most people have experienced. And so, anyway, um, when what happened to me on Shepherd Air Force Base happened and I came home to deal with it, it led to a suicide attempt, which led to a brain injury, which gave me global aphasia, and all of that went undiagnosed and untreated for 27 years. Language came back in about 2 weeks, but because I did not have any way of people identifying for me that I'd experienced a brain injury, I didn't know. I had not passed out completely when I hit my head, and no literature I could find indicated a serious head injury could happen without loss of consciousness in those days. And nobody else picked up on it either. I had to struggle with the meaning of what had happened to me when I did not, for a time, know what language was. And I couldn't be sure what the experience was or what it meant because the tool that I would use to do so is language. So I processed much more heavily in my form of autism, which is synesthetic, and I don't know, there's a coherence that makes certain kinds of learning and especially logical or sequential things much easier for me. I don't try to do it, it just happens. And I lived that way for the rest of my life. So um, I was misdiagnosed for for those 27 years. I was actively treated as a mental health patient, massive medications, electricity, hospitals, uh, for 16 years until the shrinks took me off of the meds and stuff and said, "We don't really know what is with you, but we're not helping you by keeping you on all this stuff because it's not." I was living in a kind of medicated oblivion. When they resolved to not, they threw up the hand, sort of said, "We don't know." I found that I continued to get other providers, medical providers, predisposed to view medical problems I presented them with in terms of mental health as a mental health patient instead of as a medical patient. I found several times I'd go in for something that was a physical complaint and not get proper science done, imaging and that kind of stuff, because there was a predisposition in seeing the mental health treatments to decide that the complaints were psychosomatic, whatever. There were spinal things that went untreated. I watched muscles die, all kinds of stuff. I became scared of doctors. Became scared of everybody. I dropped out of society and wandered the streets for 3 years. It was the luckiest thing that happened to me because with a fresh start, a neurologist on the West Coast found out and asked me if you hit your head. And after a month of treatment by him in Portland, Oregon, he said you sustained a concussion all those years ago in global aphasia. If you had gotten treatment in the first 6 months of it, probably you would have had no problem at all. But because it's gone on for this many years, we can't really help. We'll do what we can. They found a medication called clonidine. There was a brief, like a month or so of brain rehab where they did certain examinations for my eyes and stuff, problems that I'd had that they could finally get to the bottom of. He also said, "I think you have autism." I remained out on the streets for another couple of years, bounced back to the East Coast, um, and found my way back in. And getting back here and back east and into a housing program and off the streets and finding out the formal diagnoses of autism, TBI, PTSD. I also found that the providers who gave me these diagnoses also couldn't provide a comprehensive treatment plan. because each of them who gave me these independently said, we've never met somebody with all of these conditions at once, and certainly not adults. For a time, New York State tried to get me onto OPWD, Office of People with Developmental Disabilities. That was being set up at the time when on my VA. Somebody suggested file a claim with the VA. They're trying to address injustices to LGBT soldiers. I did. The VA never knew what had happened to me, and when they found out, they made me service connected, and they've given me the resources to start rebuilding my life. As a sober person, the 12 steps have given me a structure to remain away from excursions and recreational chemistry. But when I'm trying to build a life to put myself back together again, I found myself in a difficult position because I had terms that are well explored: trauma, autism, synesthesia, aphasia, brain injury, and recovery, alcoholism, addiction. And these are well explored ideas. The difficulty that I had was that there was no comprehensive way to put them all together for me to actually rebuild my understanding of myself and my life. So, with no providers to give me a comprehensive treatment plan and no recovery paradigm, my life did not give me the opportunity to simply not deal with it, because trauma things would come up and derail all my efforts to reintegrate into society. They would play a role in my inability to connect to people or remain connected, set boundaries, form effective relationships, work out how to manage a household, all of these things, let alone make peace with the events that happened in the past. And so the only choice that I have found myself able to do is to work through my own understandings of it, and to face that, although much as I'm drawn to try to find a shared understanding for the things that I experience in my life, there is none. That's a very difficult position to be in. It's very difficult for me to believe in myself in this process, because I've always looked to clinical terms as things that were the purview of the professionals who gave them to me, and the people who have academic degrees and ordination things, and they're professors and know how to talk at the water cooler and do group chats and things. I don't know how to do those things. I can't understand those things. But my life requires me to work at restoring my sense of an understanding of my own situation and how to relate to myself and world. So, I have been finding, as I try to find my voice for my situation, I'm connecting with people, meeting with people who seem to be able to relate to what I struggle with, even if they're from a different context. People that are not autistic seem to be able to relate to some of the ways that I process my struggles that come out of my autism. Similar with TBI. They may be of a different gender, they may be a different trauma experience, they may be a different addiction thing, a different mental configuration. But the point is, it seems to provide some help. And I'm heartened by having gone down to Founders Day to learn about the initial talk between Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob at the Foundation of Alcoholics Anonymous, when Bill said to Bob, I'm not here to help you, I'm here to help me. So I need to explore my ideas and develop my voice from my own experiences to make peace with and keep peace with my ongoing journey of coming back into society from homelessness and the oblivion of the medicines, and also the years between head injury and coming back with some treatment. But it's my hope that my talking about my struggles as I work through my process, somehow other people can find hope to believe in themselves if they have to reckon with something in themselves that doesn't fit a traditional understanding. Where this kind of work will lead, I don't know. I just know that I have a lot of work to do, because my situation affected every aspect of my consciousness. And I really feel like a barbarian compared to the people that know how to speak well about these things. But I have to try to keep it that I'm trying to do my recovery and nobody else's. But I'm hoping that my efforts, my willingness to walk through my things may give courage to the next person. That's why I do this channel. I'm going to try to keep videos to 10 minutes, and I'm going to try to only post them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Feel free to leave comments, a like. Uh, I'm very nervous about all of this because I feel like a weirdo. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Bye-bye.